Hello and welcome to In Song and Story, Season 2, Episode 2, here on the 21st of October 2020. A lot of twos going on there. We're in the second surge of this pandemic. It seems like it's never ending. And this will be our fourth time trying to tape these three songs. Wow, we've been at this for hours. We had some technical difficulty. We got a great take a little while ago, but there was a static something going on. So, this is the last shot. Anyway, thank you for joining me in Song and Story, Season 2, Number 2, 3 songs. Let's start off back in the late summer and early autumn of 1994. I was in Charleston, South Carolina, and I met a musician up there, a singer-songwriter, and we hit it off. Became friends, and we're still friends. And from that meeting, he produced an album for me, an album called Diamonds. Carol Brown is the man's name. We're still good friends. We've toured together several times over the years. And so for that recording, I brought some songs to the table. Carol had been a contracted songwriter in Nashville, Tennessee, and had a lot of friends and acquaintances up there. One of them was a man named Richard Lee. And Richard Lee is a songwriter. I think he was born in Washington, D.C., but he lives apparently in the Nashville area, has done for years. He's written a lot of songs. A lot of those songs have been recorded by major artists. Guy Clark recorded one of his songs, Randy Travis, a couple of his songs, Tanya Tucker, and also Crystal Gale recorded a song he wrote called Don't It Make My Brown Eyes Blues. Heck of a song. So we recorded this song written by Richard, and he gave us permission to do so. And 3 years later, we both found ourselves in Nashville, Tennessee. I was up there along with Carol to remaster one of my compilation albums, an album called Folk Singer. We spent 2 nights in Nashville. We toured some of the singer-songwriter showcases on the first night, had a great time, ended up in wonderful, wonderful bars, including the Bluebird Cafe, which is very famous. The second night, we had dinner with a lot of his friends, some of whom are songwriters, and Richard Lee was there, so I met him. Unfortunately, I don't remember that much about the evening. It was rowdy, there was good companionship, there was good food, and drink was involved. So, but I've always loved performing this song, and I have not done so regularly for the last 5 or 6 years. I don't know why that would be, but just sometimes songs just fall away for no reason. The song's called Innocence, and it fits nicely into the catalogue of folk songs in the Irish circuit here in America. Where the steel mill sky was ablaze with fire, as I made my way down Main Street past the burning tires of the old junk cars with their windows out. I was off to seek the fortune I had dreamed about. I was so innocent, just a young immigrant. I was on my way to search for America, but all I found was me down in New Orleans, where the girls, they danced on tables right into my dreams, when an old black man played slide guitar. The lady of the city, she took me in her arms, and I was so innocent, just a young immigrant. I was on my way to search for America. I was so lost, I knew I'd find it. So broke, I didn't mind it. I was on my way to search for America. I was so lost, I knew I'd find it. So broke, I didn't mind it. I was on my way to search for America. the story ends, so we're told. When the young man finds out the streets aren't paved with gold. But that's not quite true, for lately in my dreams they shine just like they used to down in New Orleans when I was so innocent, just a young immigrant. I was on my way to search for America. I was so lost, I knew I'd find it. So broke, I didn't mind it. I was on my way to search for America. I was so lost, I knew I'd find it. So broke, I didn't mind it. I was on my way to search for America. Written by Richard Lee, a song called Innocence. Great song. I should do that more often. And I would if there were any gigs. Wow. Okay, so this next song is it's an English folk song from the Lake District, the Cumberland district of the northwest of England. And I learned this from the singing of my ex-music partner, Trish Rogers. And indeed, we performed this as we travelled around America for many years as the folk group Terra Nova. And so Trish's version of this song, very, very similar to the 1982 recording that Clannad made. Clannad are a group from Donegal in the northwest of Ireland. The song was also recorded back in '68 by Maddie Pryor and Tom Hart, and Maddie Pryor would go on to found the band Steel I Span, very popular in the '70s. All around my hat, all around my hat. I should do that song too. But so the song originally, it's an amalgamation of 3 different versions put together by a man named Woods, Jeffrey Woods from Leeds, sometime in the 40s. And his reckoning or his thought is that the song may have been written years before that by a man from Cumberland, a man named William Graham, who was known as the Cumberland Poacher. He had some kind of altercation with a game warden, and he garnered him the nickname, the Cumberland Poacher. I love these things. So that may be the origin of the song, but it was Jeff Woods who kind of put it all together. And the first time it was recorded was somewhere in Cumberland in 1953. It was recorded by a man named Irving, I think. Leonard or Len Irving. But I don't know that much about that. Anyway, it's called Lish Young by a Broom. And the word Lish in the Cumberland dialect means energetic or active. It also means, in the greater sense, the word Lish means attractive, beautiful, or irresistible. And by a broom would be a tinker or a travelling person. And back in days gone by in Ireland, England, these travellers or tinkers would move around the country selling household items, also doing odd jobs for the local people and the farmers. So, Lish Young by a Broom. Okay, let's try it again. I went a walking in the North Country, down by Kirby Stephen I happened for to be. As I went a walking up and down the street, a pretty little by a broom I chanted for to meet. She was right, I was tight, everybody has their way. 'Twas the Lish by a broom that led me astray. She kindly then invited me to go a little way. Yes was the answer to her I did say. It was me with me music walking down the street, and her with the tambourine a beating hand and feet. And she was right, I was tight, everybody has their way. It was the Lish by a broom that led me astray. Straight way out for Kendaltown we started, her and I, over yon green mountain, the weather being dry. We each had a bottle filled up to the top, and whenever we were getting dry we drink a little drop. And she was right, I was tight, everybody has their way. It was the Lish by a broom that led me astray. Well, the night was coming on, and good lodgings we did find, edibles of all kinds, and plenty of fine wine, good bed and blankets just for we two, and I rolled her in me arms, me boys, and wouldn't you do too? She was right, I was tight, everybody has their way. It was the Lish by a broom that led me astray. Early the next morning she arose to go away, called for the landlord to see what was the pay. 14 and sixpence just for you two, 4 crowns upon the table, me darling, then she threw. She was right, I was tight, everybody has their way. It was the Lish by a broom that led me astray. Well, the reason that we parted, I know she'll let you hear. She started off for Germany early the next year, and me being unwilling for to cross the raging sea, here's a helping to me by a broom wherever she may be. She was right, I was tight, everybody has their way. It was the Lish by a broom that led me astray. As I went walking down the north country, down by Kirby Stephen, I haven't for to be. As I went a walking up and down the street, a pretty little by a broom a chancing for to meet. And she was right, I was tight, everybody has their way. It was the Lish by a broom that led me astray. And she was right, I was tight, everybody has their way. It was the Lish by a broom that led me astray. The Lish by a broom, probably a different version than me and Trish in Terra Nova used to sing, but I shout out to Trish, my ex-partner. She's back home in Ireland, living not too far from north of Drogheda in Drumcar, where she was close to where she was born, in County Louth, there, out by the ocean. And she regularly posts on Facebook here. Trish has written 2 books on the pairing of wine and food. And the books are called The Zing Ting. The Zing Ting. Z-I-N-G, or in this country, Z-I-N-G. Zing Ting. And it just gives you kind of information on how to pair food, or why certain foods go with certain wines. And being that a lot of people have nothing to do, you might Google and maybe get a copy of the book, The Zing Ting, or at least look at her regular posting every week, her postings on Facebook, Trish Rogers. We're going to stay right there in that place, I suppose. Before I came to America, I played in a folk group at home in Ireland, and in the folk group we played mainly folk masses in the Augustinian Church in Shop Street in Drogheda, and there was Trish Rogers and myself, Jerry Mulroy and his late wife, the lovely Lorraine Mulroy, and there was Pierce Brannigan and Paddy McQuail and Mary and Con O'Donoghue, who are all still back in Ireland, all still doing well. Con and Mary are doing. Con had some illness and he's over it now, doing well. His son is an actor, and he's actually currently to be seen on Disney in a new series about the astronauts in the Apollo mission in the 1960s. I think it's called The Right Stuff, perhaps, you know. But Colin's in there, so fair play to him, kudos. But we all played in this in the folk band, and this song was always floating around, and I've known of this song and kind of sang along with it for many years, but never performed it regularly as part of my own kind of performances until about 2 years ago. It's a great song. It's from the west coast of Ireland, and the quintessential version of this would have been recorded by Planksty back in the late 60s with Christy Moore in lead vocal. Christy still does this regularly as part of his performance repertoire. It's called The Cliffs of Dooneen, and it was written back in the 30s by a man named Kevin McAuliffe, who came from the village, around the village of Beale, B-E-A-L-E, in North Kerry. And he wrote the song about Dooneen Point, which is up there in the headland overlooking the Shannon estuary. And if you're up there, you look over the Shannon and see the southern part of the west coast of County Clare. So it's a song called The Cliffs of Dooneen. I will leave you with this. Thank you so much for tuning in. It's great to be here. Technical difficulties aside, and I hope you're staying safe and well out there. And we'll get through this at some point or another, one way or another. Sláinte. And again, a big hello to the people at home in my hometown of Drogheda and the people in Ireland who listen to me. The Cliffs of Dooneen. You may travel far, far from your own native home, far away o'er the mountains, away o'er the foam. But of all the fine places that I've ever been, sure there's none can compare with the cliffs of Dooneen. Take a view o'er the mountains, fine sight you'll see there. You see the high rocky slopes on the west coast of Clare, and the towns of Kilkee and Kilrush can be seen from the high rocky slopes round the cliffs of Dooneen. It's a nice place to be on a fine summer's day, watching all the wildflowers that dare do decay. Oh, the hares and lofty pheasants are playing to be seen, making homes for their young round the cliffs of Dooneen. Fare thee well to Dooneen, fare thee well for a while, and to all the kind people I'm leaving behind, to the streams and the meadows where late I have been, and to the high rocky slopes round the cliffs of Dooneen. You may travel far, far from your own native home, far away o'er the mountain, away o'er the foam. But of all the fine places that I've ever been, sure there's none to compare with the cliffs of Dooneen. The cliffs of Dooneen. Thank you very much for joining me this evening. Please take care of yourself out there, and you'll find me here again the same time, same place next week. Until then, good night and God bless.